Get started. Good afternoon. Welcome to this virtual open house event at the University of King's College. My name is Yolana Wassersag. I'm the recruitment and admissions manager at King's, and I'm also a really proud King's graduate. So I'm going to be your host for today. Um, just a couple housekeeping notes. This webinar is going to be recorded. So, if you're listening to me right now and your Wi-Fi suddenly disappears halfway through, don't worry. We'll send you a link to the video so you can check that out. We'll probably do that early on Tuesday since Monday is a holiday here in Nova Scotia. Um, the other thing to know is you can ask us a lot of questions. We're going to save lots of time for questions at the end. If you have questions that come into your mind, feel free to use the Q&A feature in Zoom to jot them down, and we'll spend as much time as we can answering those questions as we get towards the end of this webinar session. Before we launch into any of all of the exciting things we want to tell you, I really want to start by acknowledging where we are. Obviously, we're meeting virtually, and there's people joining us and hearing my voice who are spread all around Canada and other parts of the world as well. But I am right here on campus, and I'm in Mi'kma'ki. Kings sits on the unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people, land that's subject to the peace and friendship treaties that are the basis of peaceful coexistence and all good relations among everyone who lives in Mi'kma'ki. And the University of King's College, especially as it's African History Month right now, we always acknowledge the histories, contributions, and legacies of the African Nova Scotian people who have been here in this part of Mi'kma'ki that we call Nova Scotia for over 400 years. It's really common for university events like this one to start with some form of land acknowledgement. And if you go to university events often, you might be used to hearing this kind of thing. I really want to encourage you uh, to put some pressure on universities to back up what they're saying, and to not just do a land acknowledgement, but to back up those acknowledgements with actions. I'm really excited to tell you more about the type of work and collaboration and cooperation that happens at King's to further the work of reconciliation, equity, and justice. I'll try to touch on some of those things in my presentation today. For example, when we talk about scholarships later, I'll try to highlight some of the scholarships and opportunities that particularly benefit and are aimed at supporting Indigenous students and Black students. But if you have questions about any of that reconciliation work, please don't hesitate to ask because I'm excited to talk to you about it. So before we get into talking about academic programs, scholarships, campus life, and before we introduce you to an awesome panel of students, the very first thing on our agenda today is for me to turn things over to our President and Vice Chancellor, William Leahy, to welcome you. And after Bill's words of welcome, we'll talk about academic programs, we'll talk about how King's connects with Dalhousie, we'll talk about campus life, admissions requirements and scholarships. And then there's this great group of current students online with me today who will be available to answer all your questions. So with that, President Bill, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Yolana, and good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever the case might be to all of you. I add my welcomes to those already offered by Yolana, and more specifically, welcome to what's called the Sunroom in the President's Lodge, where I live with my family right here on campus. The picture that's on the screen now shows my house over in the corner of that. Yes, exactly. Thank you very much, Yolana. And just on the point that Yolana was just making, this past week we had meetings of our Mi'kmaq advisory group and our African Nova Scotian advisory group. And to Yolana's point, both of whom expressed appreciation for the action that King's is taking to put its land acknowledgements and people's acknowledgements into practice. And along with my colleague Karen Mutiabuli, who's our Director of Equity and Community Supports, I presented at what's called the National Forum of the Scarborough Charter, which is a national movement of universities addressing anti-Black racism. And the reason Karen and I were asked to present there was the recognition of the progress that King's is making as a very small university, and the people who lead the Scarborough Charter thought that we could be a very good example to others, including much larger universities. So I'm excited for all of you. You're at that stage in life where you're thinking about what university might be the right one for you, which is an amazing time of life. And I'm also very excited for Kings to consider the possibility that some of you, or maybe all of you, will come to the conclusion that Kings is actually the right university for you. If you are attending a King's open house, which you clearly are, you probably already have identified yourself as the kind of person for whom King's may indeed be the right kind of university. I say that because I know you are attending this open house because, like King's students, you're looking for something different and as unique as you are. And King's is different. We here at King's are also thrilled with the possibility that you may join our community because we're very, very confident based on the experience of our years of history that you will enrich our community if you decide to come here. It happens that you are considering King's when my time as president of King's is coming to an end. My 10-year term as president ends on June 30th of this year. That means the next president, yet to be chosen, will have the privilege that I have always treasured of being here to welcome you either this September or a future September. And so will the faculty, staff, upper year students, and alumni who are always here to welcome each new class of students as presidents come and go, as they do at all universities. I came to King's in 2016. I don't know, I think that probably sounds like a long time ago to you folks. It feels like a long time ago to me. And I came here having attended 3 other universities as a student and having spent 16 years as a law professor at Dalhousie, where I still teach part-time. In that role, as well as in my current role, I have visited many of the universities of Canada in one time or another. Now, that history gives me an objective basis to deeply appreciate how special King's truly is in the world of higher education, particularly in undergraduate education, which is our specialty, as I'm sure you know. There are many reasons for this, and you'll hear about them from the other members of the panel. At a high level, I believe it is because of the way we combine a uniquely rich and effective approach to teaching and deep learning in our distinctive academic programs. And for the most part, they're really one of a kind, our academic programs. And they are combined with the supports that students need in today's world to excel academically and to be healthy, safe, and happy in their studies and in all dimensions of their student lives. It is also because of who comes to King's. I think this is a really critical and important point, and it'll be demonstrated in today's webinar. The people who come to King's are students like all of you, I know, who are excited about learning and who embrace learning as a journey of self-discovery on the road to becoming all they can be in their personal lives and in their careers. That is why friendship, belonging, community, and inclusion are such defining characteristics of the experience of learning and growing that unfolds at King's. As my fellow panel members probably know or remember, I am fond of saying that a good undergraduate education is a holistic experience of being loved into being. That happens at King's like I have never seen, experienced, or heard it happening at any other university. And the truly exceptional aspect of how it happens at King's is that each student not only gets the experience of being loved into being for themselves, but also the opportunity of being part of loving their fellow students into being. That is why and how education at King's ends up being education of the whole person and of the heart as well as the mind. I wish you all the very best in pursuing your bright and exciting futures, which I know will be both bright and exciting, whether or not you come to King's. But if you do come to King's, I am confident you will not regret it. Indeed, you will have a transformative experience you will treasure. It will be your constant companion throughout the rest of your life, continuing to inspire you and enabling you to achieve your goals as you live with purpose, doing what King's graduates always do. And by now, I've met thousands of them, which is their part to make the world a better place. Thanks for listening. Time to move on to the rest of the webinar. Thank you, Yolana.
Thank you so much for being here, Bill. We were so happy to have you and making time on your Sunday for this. So, um, before we launch into anything else, I know that there's people joining us from lots of different regions and areas. You might be close to our campus or you might be tuning in from far away. So let me just start by saying Halifax, Nova Scotia is a pretty incredible place. So Kings is very close to the downtown of the city, an easy walk or very convenient bus route to the heart of Halifax and its beautiful waterfront. Halifax is full of universities and full of university students. So obviously I'll talk about King's and I'll also talk about our relationship with our partner university, Dalhousie, whose campus we share. And in addition to King's and Dalhousie, there are many other universities in Halifax, Nova Scotia College of Art and Design, Mount St. Vincent, St. Mary's University. So because of this, we're a city that's really vibrant and filled with students. There are some great restaurants and music venues. There's a great art scene. There's awesome live sports. There's just a lot of great stuff to do. If you have an opportunity to visit, if you've never been here before, we encourage you to come. And when you do visit, don't forget to book a campus tour. In terms of academic programs, I'm focusing on our undergraduate academic programs for this event. And we have 4 types of degrees that we offer. So there are students at King's doing a Bachelor of Science, a BSc. There are students doing a Bachelor of Arts, a BA, Bachelor of Journalism Honors, BJH, and a Bachelor of Music. Those are the 4 types of degrees that are available. And you'll notice right in the middle of my slide, it says FYP. That stands for the Foundation Year Program, or sometimes we just say FIP for short. I'll say a little bit more about what FIP is and how it's structured. But the main thing to know is that there are undergraduate students doing any of these 4 degrees. And no matter which one you choose, you'll have the option to start your degree, if you wish, with the Foundation Year Program. The students who are on our panel today, who you can ask questions from, a couple of them are doing the Foundation Year Program right now. A couple of them previously did the Foundation Year Program. And we also have a student on our panel today who didn't do the Foundation Year Program and did a kind of started with a general science degree without that first year program. Any of those things are options for our students. It's a pretty unique first year program. And since we're the only institution in Canada that offers Foundation Year, I always like to highlight it. So Foundation Year, for those of you who will choose to do it, is a first year journey, an odyssey into the history of deep thinking and ideas. And together, students in this program are exploring really interesting and meaty books, works of literature, philosophy, politics, social sciences, art history, all of those interdisciplinary subjects together in one program. The way it works is that students have a lecture in the morning and then a small discussion group class, which is capped at 15 students, which will be in the afternoon. And so together you're getting a chance to really learn as a community and have those discussion group tutorial classes where you can dig into your ideas, hone your voice, respectfully debate or disagree with your classmates, and really build your critical thinking skills. Foundation year programs, students do a lot of reading and they also do a lot of writing. So they gain really strong skills in written and oral communication. They really become super strong thinkers, which benefits them for the rest of their degree. And it also benefits them as they move on to whatever they do after their undergraduate degree. Students go on to all sorts of different kinds of careers. But one thing that I always like to highlight is the unique partnership we have with the law school at the University of Calgary, where students who have done foundation year program have an advantage when it comes to the admission process for that law school. And last year, every student who applied to UCal who previously did FIP was admitted, which was very exciting. FIP is pretty structured. So you have options here for how you want to plan out your degree. But if you take a look at my slide here, this section that has these black circles, these 10 black circles, is meant to represent what a pretty standard first year of university would look like. So if you're a full-time student and you're enrolled in classes, typically you're taking 5 classes each semester, 10 over the course of the year. So each one of those dots will represent a class you're taking. And you can imagine that over the course of your semester, the 5 classes that you're in are potentially each in a different building on the campus, potentially each taught by a different member of the faculty, a different professor. There's a different group of students in each class. There's different structures for academic assignments, essays, exams, midterm tests, that kind of thing. The foundation year program is meant to sort of streamline this structure so that if you are a student in foundation year program, most of your week is spent in the foundation year program. For people who are doing a Bachelor of Arts degree, a Bachelor of Journalism degree, or a Bachelor of Music degree, foundation year program fills up 4 days of their week. So 4 days of the week, they'll have a lecture in the morning and a discussion group class in the afternoon. But they'll have room in their schedule for one additional class that they can take alongside foundation year program. And for the students doing a Bachelor of Science, it's very similar. They're going to be doing the foundation year program 3 days a week, which leaves room in their schedule for 2 additional courses that they can take alongside foundation year program. That way, the science students can take a first-year level science class and a first-year level math class so that they get all the prerequisites they need to move into second year. So, as a King student, you have the option to start here with foundation year program or start with a more general first year. Either way, we're going to set you up in first year with all of the requirements that you need to move smoothly into the second year of your degree. And once you're in the second year of your degree, you can continue to take lots of classes at King's, or you can take lots of classes next door through Dalhousie University, who King's is strongly associated with. Or you can mix and match between both campuses and spend some time on the King's campus and some time on the Dal campus. I've mentioned that foundation year students do a lot of reading. I wasn't joking about that. There's definitely a lot of reading in this program. We read a wide range of different kinds of books and ideas, and we do this reading in a very specific order. So that reading happens chronologically. We start in the ancient world with some of the earliest stories that human beings ever wrote down, and then we're going to travel our way through history, through the Middle Ages, through the Renaissance, all the way into the contemporary world. Believe it or not, the things you're seeing on the slide is not an exhaustive reading list. This is just a sample. So foundation year program students read really deeply and really widely. And what they come to as they move through the year is an extremely rich understanding of why the world we're living in now is the way it is now. What are some of the ideas and theories and ways of thinking from the past that we're still carrying with us today? Why are we still carrying them with us? What are some ideas from the past that we're ready to let go of and move on from? How will we do that? Those are the types of questions that foundation year program students are extremely equipped to answer. As I said, there are a couple students on our panel who are in foundation year right now and are right in the thick of it. There's a few who have previously done it. So if you have more questions about what this program is like, I encourage you to ask our students during the Q&A. I've also already mentioned this unique partnership we have with Dalhousie University, and I'll say a little bit more about that now. So this is the King's campus. It's literally just this square of buildings. We call it the Quad. It's a really warm and welcoming campus with some green space in the middle, and everything is walking distance, and everyone knows everyone. At King's, the entire university population is just about 1,000 students. So that is a very small scale for a university. It allows us to have like an incredible amount of customization and personalization and really get to know each student meaningfully. Next door is Dalhousie University's campus. So this square of buildings in the top picture, you can see it nestled right into Dalhousie's campus here, with the Dal campus surrounding us on 3 sides, like it's wrapping around to give us a big hug. King's students have access to programs and resources at Dalhousie. The 2 universities share their entire Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, and their entire Faculty of Science. So it's very normal for King's students to spend time on our campus, but also walk next door and take classes at Dal. There's a lot of great things about being in a small environment and getting all of that customization and personalization and support. But we also really value the resources that we share with Dalhousie. Dal is what's called a U15 school. They're one of the top 15 research-driven universities in the country. And they are leaders, especially here in Atlantic Canada, when it comes to research, innovation, sciences. They are amazing at fields like marine biology and ocean sciences, environmental science. I mean, they're incredible at that stuff. And they also have a law school on their campus and a med school on their campus. So they're really well equipped to get students the type of undergraduate degree they need so they can move on to incredible, rich, fulfilling careers in law and medicine and any other discipline. So it's nice to have that partnership between the two institutions. And the students who are on the panel today can tell you a little bit more about their experience of sharing time and resources between King's and Dalhousie. You can mix and match the type of degree you get in lots of different ways. This is not a complete list of degrees that are offered or programs that are offered, I should say. This is just a sample. And I've met a lot of students who have mixed and matched between programs in interesting ways. I think sometimes when you're in high school, you might hear people say, "What are you planning to major in? What will your major be?" And when people phrase it that way, it makes it sound like you're supposed to pick one major and that's it. But in my experience, that's not really how it works for most university students. Most students will customize their degree in some way and combine programs to create a degree that's just as unique as they are. So if you are someone who is passionate about a lot of different subjects and you don't want to pick just one major, don't worry about it. You know, you can totally do a degree that is a double major in economics and classics with a, certificate in art history and visual culture, or a science degree that combines neuroscience and history of science and technology with a certificate in medical humanities, for example. There's so many different ways you can customize your degree. One particular program that I would be really missing something important if I forgot to highlight is journalism. King's is very well known for our journalism school. Alongside foundation year program, journalism is something that we are famous for and are known for across Canada. We're the only school in Atlantic Canada that offers a degree that's specific to journalism. And in this program, students learn to be journalists across multiple platforms. So print media, audio, things like radio and podcasts, video journalism, photojournalism. We put a lot of emphasis on journalism ethics, journalism law. We have a great Indigenous people in the media course and some other really interesting classes that focus on how reporters can ethically tell stories working with Indigenous communities. Journalism students can start with the foundation year program. That's how we would encourage you to start. And that's a great way to deepen your understanding and have like great context as you start your career as a journalist. All journalism students at King's get real world work experience. So everyone does an internship in fourth year. It's a built-in part of the program. And I also want to highlight two really unique initiatives that are pretty new to campus, the Mi'kmaq Journalism Initiative and the African Nova Scotian Journalism Initiative. If you are a Mi'kmaq or if you are African Nova Scotian and you're thinking you might want to study journalism at King's, get in touch because we have tuition waivers that are available to support students and make education much, much more affordable if you're looking into kind of coming into the journalism school. Okay. A few more academic programs that I just want to quickly highlight are what we call the King's Honors Programs. These are three really unique interdisciplinary programs that are taught on the King's campus and can be done as part of a minor, or they can be combined with a subject at Dalhousie for a combined honors degree. And they're called the History of Science and Technology program, the Contemporary Studies program, and the Early Modern Studies program. I actually did Early Modern Studies myself, and I deeply loved it. And one really neat feature of these programs is the ability to do some study abroad that's built into the structure of the program. If you'd like to go take one of the field courses in either Florence, Italy, or in Berlin, you can. Those are some pretty incredible experiences. So don't hesitate to ask if you want to kind of dig in a little deeper on any of those programs. The other thing that we offer as an opportunity and a resource for students is what we call the King's Experiential Learning Program. We sometimes use the acronym KELP for short when we describe it. KELP is a kind of an umbrella term that encompasses lots of different types of experiential learning that are available on campus. So these include things like summer internship programs, skill building resources, opportunities to kind of focus on communicating how your liberal arts degree is going to get you well prepared for all sorts of different types of careers and opportunities. Um, I don't have necessarily time in this presentation to dig really, really deep into kelp, but please ask me questions about it as we get into the Q&A portion. Uh, and then another really cool like resource opportunity that you could explore is the Humanities for Young People program, or HIP for short. And HIP is a summer program on our campus. It's aimed at students who are teens who are 15 to 17 years old. So if you're listening to my voice right now and you're someone who's in grade 10 or 11 this year, I would definitely encourage you to check this out. Applications for this summer's HIP are open right now. We just opened them this weekend, so that's brand new. Um, it's a week-long summer program where you get to basically have a mini university experience. So you experience a little bit of what like the foundation year program is like with a cohort of about 40 students from all across Canada and around the world on our campus in July. It's really fun. I highly recommend it. And I'll also highlight that HIP students have access to a pretty unique scholarship opportunity. If you come to King's to do the summer program, HIP, and then you enroll at King's in the future, there is an automatic additional scholarship that gets added on top of any other scholarships or awards that you may be eligible for. Okay, student life. There's a lot of different kinds of clubs and societies and groups on this campus. Our student panelists can tell you more about their experiences. But if you're into theater or debate or dance or environmental justice, food sustainability, if you love tabletop role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons, you should get involved in a club on our campus. There are two student-run businesses on the campus. There's a beautiful black box theater. There's the most adorable independent bookstore in the world on our campus. And then there's also tons of support services available for students, and we can dig into what some of those are. But supports for your academics, your health and wellness, any of your accessibility or accommodation needs, and many more. We share lots of support services with Dalhousie as well. So there's resources that are on the King's campus, and there's also resources available to students through our partnership with Dalhousie. And I don't want to forget mentioning the Blue Devils, who are our varsity sports teams. If you're passionate about varsity sports and if you play basketball, rugby, soccer, volleyball, or badminton, absolutely get in touch. I'd be happy to answer your questions. Some of the students on our panel today are varsity athletes. You get access to the fitness and gym facilities at both King's and Dalhousie. And there's also some unique scholarship opportunities available that are academic and athletic awards blended together, like the Deborah Dean Little and Robert Little academic scholarships for varsity athletes, which are pretty substantial awards valued at up to $20,000 over 4 years. Many King students choose to live in residence in their first year. Some of the students on our panel are living in residence right now. It's a like fun, safe, great place to live, especially with the campus being so small and convenient. We have a guaranteed space on campus for every new incoming student for their first year. You just need to apply to residence by April 1st, and we have that guaranteed space available for you. So if you have questions about the residence application process and what to expect, we can dig into that during the Q&A as well. And before I dive into admission requirements, I just want to touch on some of the special traditions that happen at King's. There are many of them, but there's some really like incredible things that are part of this campus experience. So just to kind of go through some of the pictures that you can see on the screen, right here where you see some students standing in front of our library, that's a picture of the students in our theater society, the King's Theatrical Society, performing a play right outdoors in the middle of the quad. We call this tradition Classics in the Quad because they perform a classic play from ancient Greece or Rome, and they do this every fall. It's the first show of the season that the Theater Society puts on. You can see here the matriculation ceremony and Insenia, which is what we call our graduation ceremony. These are sort of the bookends of your King's experience. So students matriculate at the beginning of their degree, and then they have the insignia ceremony at the end of their degree. We've got another classics in the quad picture right here. This is a photo of formal meal, which is a really special tradition at King's where once each semester our students get dressed up in their black academic robes and they have a very special meal in the dining hall. We usually invite an inspiring guest speaker to entertain us and educate us during the meal, which is always a really special event. And here's a new tradition. This is the Queering the Quad, which is a kind of resource fair that happens at the beginning of the year with all sorts of supports that are available to LGBTQ students. And we fill the quad with rainbows, and it's an awesome time. So just a few of the traditions that happen on campus, not an exhaustive list. And I feel like I'm missing pictures of things like the president's skating party and the annual hike and many others. Very briefly, basic admission requirements. If you're looking at a Bachelor of Arts, you'll see that you can do a Bachelor of Arts with foundation year program, or you can do it as a general student. We use general rather than undeclared. My slide's a little out of date in that way, but they mean the same thing. And you can see the same is true for Bachelor of Science, which you can do with foundation year program or without. The Bachelor of Journalism honors program has foundation year program built into it. And you can see the Bachelor of Music as well. No matter what type of degree you're doing, when you fill out an application form and send in your transcript so that we can assess you for admission, we will be looking at basically just 5 classes on your transcript. We want to see 5 academic level, grade 12 level courses. We always want to take a look at your grade in your English class. So for most of our programs, we look at your grade in English and your next 4 highest academic subjects, and we average those together. So English plus your next 4 highest grades, typically a 75% average is needed as the minimum for admissions. For people who are applying to a Bachelor of Science, we look at both English and a pre-calculus or calculus level math and your next 3 highest subjects. I'll always say, because this is important fine print, meeting minimums does not guarantee admissions, but it does give you a sense of where we start offering admissions. And if you're tuned into this from, the United States or some other regions of Canada where you might encounter universities that require additional supplemental documents, typically at King's, we're just looking at your high school transcript. That's usually what we need to make an admissions decision. There's no admissions essay required. But I will say if you're applying for some of our scholarships, there will be some supplemental documents that you'd want to be able to submit. There's basically 2 types of scholarships that happen at King's. We call them general entrance awards and major awards. So with general entrance awards, which you can see on this side of my screen, general entrance awards are just going to be something that will be offered to every student who applies. As long as you've applied to King's by March 1st, we'll consider you for a general entrance award. You don't have to fill out any extra paperwork. You don't have to take any other steps. You just have to apply to King's by March 1st. And you can see that these awards start at $1,000 and go up to $5,000, and they're just applied automatically based on your admissions average. So those are general entrance awards. Over here on this side of the slide, we have our major awards. And for these awards, there usually is a supplemental application or another step that you will need to take in order to be considered, including potentially submitting an original essay. Now, there's a lot of different awards here, and you can see the values for all of them, both the total value and or the first year and then returning student value. Some of these awards have very specific criteria. So you can find a complete list of them on our website and take a look, but I'll highlight a few. The Dr. Carrie Best Scholarship is open to any Black or Indigenous student from across Canada. The Gordon Earl Scholarship is specifically for African Nova Scotian students. I've already mentioned the Deborah Dean Little Academic Awards for varsity athletes, and those ones are, dependent on you coming to King's, doing the foundation year program, and also being a varsity athlete. We've got things like the Colin Starnes Award, which are specifically for Nova Scotians, for example. So there's quite a range here, and I'd encourage you to take a look on our website to kind of dig in a little deeper. If you are someone who's looking to apply to King's in this year and start your degree this coming September 2026, you should get a move on with this because the major award application deadline is March 1st. And we're available to support. You can reach out to admissions@ukings.ca if you have questions about the process or you'd like to ask about how to get started with your scholarship application. Oh, so before we get into our Q&A, just a couple next steps for you to be aware of. You can learn a lot more on our website. I'm going to show you a slide in just a second with some of our upcoming events that you can attend. If you are applying in this admission cycle, so you're looking at September 2026, you should definitely apply by March 1st. March 1st is the deadline to be considered for those general entrance scholarships and those major scholarships. And if you apply to residence by April 1st, as I mentioned before, we have a guaranteed space in residence for you. If you're in grade 10 or 11 right now and you're looking ahead to a future year, you can't apply yet. Applications for September 2027 are not open yet. But there's lots of different things you could do to learn more while you're, waiting a year to get ready to apply. And that will include some of our other upcoming events. So the next event that's on our schedule is coming up very soon, February 22nd. We are hosting an essay writing workshop for high school students. This workshop will be a great opportunity to just practice your skills writing an academic essay, get some tips and advice about what kinds of things universities, not just King's, all universities expect to see from undergraduate writing. The writing coach for the foundation year program will be leading the workshop. So if you want to know a little bit more about what are the expectations in FIP when it comes to writing, tune in for that workshop. And if you learn a lot from that workshop and really want to practice those writing skills, and you're in grade 12, I'd encourage you to submit for our essay contest. There's more details about that on our website by March 30th. The winning essay, the student who wrote it is going to win the total value of their FIP books. There are more online events and in-person events listed on our campus tours and events page, which you can find here. You can go to that webpage to sign up for an in-person campus tour next time you're in Halifax or nearby, take a virtual tour of our campus, or view a whole list of other upcoming events. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and ask our awesome student panelists if they want to turn their cameras on. And if you are listening right now and you have questions you want to ask, feel free to start typing them into the Q&A. While you're doing that, I'm going to get all of our student panelists to introduce themselves and say hi. And in no particular order, but just because you're next to me in the little box, I'm going to ask Amber to start. So, Amber, do you want to say where you're from, what you're studying, what year of your degree you're in, and like anything else we should know about your activities and involvement on campus?
Yeah, hi, my name is Amber. I'm from Halifax originally. I'm in my third year studying marine biology and environmental science. So most of my classes are at Dalhousie. I also did the Dalhousie Integrated Science program my first year instead of FIP, which is kind of the same thing as FIP, just all science-based courses with science students. I'm also a Don here in residence, which is kind of like an RA if you don't know what that is, just someone who oversees a floor or a bay on residence. Um, what else? I am on the King's rugby team and was on the badminton team for the past 2 years. Um, I also have celiac and I've been navigating the dining hall with having an allergy for the past 3 years. So if anyone has questions about that, I can answer them. But yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Amber. Chow, you're next up on my list. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Chow. I am in my first year. I'm taking the foundation year program, and I'm in the arts version. I am a day student, so I do not live in residence. If you have any questions about what it's like to have to commute to university.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, Michaela, you're up.
Hi, I'm Michaela. I'm from Ontario. I'm also a first year student taking the foundation year program, and I also take journalism. I also play on the King's rugby team, and I'm a student ambassador here as well.
Amazing. Noam?
Hi, my name is Noam. I'm a third year. I did foundation year program. I'm now doing a Bachelor of Science in Economics, a minor in music, and a certificate in data analytics. I've kind of done a lot of my time. I was in Bachelor of Arts, I was in Bachelor of Music, I'm in Bachelor of Science now, so I can answer a lot of like questions about anything relating to those kind of stuff. I've been in all kinds of societies. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you. And last but not least, Petra, you're up.
Hi, so I'm Petra. I am just wrapping up the fourth year of my Bachelor of Arts degree. My major is in a program called Law, Justice, and Society at Dalhousie, sort of a pre-law program, and I'm minoring in sustainability. I also did the foundation year program in my first year. I've lived on residence, though in my upper years I live off campus as well. I'm involved in a number of societies, and I've also started a society on campus before. So yeah, I can answer lots of questions for you guys.
Amazing. So obviously we have the dream team here. Feel free to kind of ask anything. And I can see that one brave person has already launched in to kind of get the ball rolling and has asked the first question. So thank you to that attendee who is asking for tips from you all about studying at university, getting assignments done, not procrastinating, and any tips that you might have about FIP in particular. So I'm not sure if there's anyone who wants to kind of kick off with their seasoned advice about this. Uh, but I'm looking at maybe some of the upper year students, Amber or Pedro or Noam, for some of the general tips, and then maybe we'll see if either Chow or Michaela wants to fill in with the FIP specific. Go ahead, Noam.
I'll say it took me a while to stop procrastinating. I'm in third year, obviously, and maybe this is the first term that I've been like doing assignments on time and not leaving them to the last minute. Um, I'd say my biggest tip, and this might not work for everyone, find people to study with and then study together. It's really, really motivating. It keeps you accountable to get your work done. It keeps you studying for way longer because you're not just there. You can't just like leave whenever you want to. Ask each other questions, quiz each other, even if you don't know anything about what they're studying. So like it actually is even better for them because then they have to explain it to you or you have to explain what you're studying to them and then as if they don't know anything, which makes you learn the material better. Those are my top tips for studying. Yeah.
Those are all great tips, and thank you for being honest about the fact that you've been procrastinating. We've all been in those shoes. Does anyone else have kind of tips to add?
Yeah, I would say Nom's tips are great. I think for harking back to my foundation year program days specifically, most of the kind of studying time is devoted to either reading or writing. With reading, I always found it helpful to have my physical book, but also listen to an audio book as well. It just made it easier for me to like read faster and kind of process things better. I also did a few things like, the reading list comes out in like June or July, I believe. So I kind of started doing some of the first readings over the summer while I had a bit of free time. Um, and yeah, I also agree that with foundation year, since you're around so many people studying the same thing, it is really helpful to have conversations with your classmates to know information better.
Thank you. Noam?
Sorry, I just remembered one other kind of like FIP specific tip that I found really helpful. When and this is a lot of people do this, but I'll just mention it anyways. When you're reading, have like a little thing of like sticky notes or like those like sticky notes you can write on when you're reading. And if you read something interesting, put it down, write like a word or two to remind you why you thought it was interesting. And then that will really help you when you come back. I still do this with books I read for fun because I might want to come back to those ideas. But that's like just a really easy, really like high value way to kind of remember like what you thought was interesting and what you could use for your essays and assignments later.
Great advice. Michaela?
I'll say a really big tip too, especially for essay writing, is using our writing coach, which is Molly Rookwood. She's super helpful and she talks about like all of our ideas with us and how we kind of formulate our essays. And sometimes it can be really stressful just trying to come up with an idea and stuff, but she really helps you break it down. For me personally, I always set a meeting with Molly at the beginning of the week and then the end of the week, and it just kind of helps you with that progression of like your writing skills, just developing what your tutors even advise you to do. So I've always found that really helpful.
That's awesome. I love Molly. She's a wonderful person and she's a great writing coach. I think it's cool that FIP has a designated writing coach, and I will say the journalism school also has a designated writing coach. Um, we've got another question in the chat, so thank you for sharing your great study tips. And I can see there's a question here specifically for Chow about what it's like being a day student, which is the term we use on campus for folks who don't live in residence and commute in. So Chow, over to you.
So being a day student is really fun. because I personally am local to Halifax, so I get to live at home and then I get to commute in. I think the biggest challenge for being a day student is probably socializing. Just because in the first few weeks, the people in residence live together, and I feel that helps them connect and make friends really fast. Whereas if you're a day student, especially if you don't live within like walking distance, it can be a lot harder to get to know people. However, because of King's, you have your discussion groups after your lecture, and these discussion groups are capped at 15 people. And I think that they're called tutorial groups, and they are really good for getting to know people, either other day students or people in residence, and they can help you make friends. Um, we do also have a space on King's campus called the Ward Room, which is kind of like a nice chill space where all the students can hang out between classes, where you can get to know people. And I find the people at King's are really friendly. I'm also personally involved with trying to get our Day Student Society back up and running, which is it works to help connect day students, have events, and also make sure that day students feel included in the King's community.
Chow, I'm so glad to hear that because I was a day student too, and I loved the Day Student Society. They were so helpful. And if I could give one piece of advice to anyone who might be thinking of coming to King's as a day student, it would be like just get involved in a club or society if you can early in your, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be married to it. It doesn't have to be the club or society that you go to every single one of their events for the next 4 years of your life. But if you can just get your foot in the door, getting involved in some campus events, that can be a great kind of way to break the ice. Amber, you've been both a day student and a resident student. I'm sure you have a perspective on this.
Yeah, so because I live local, my initial thought process was that I was going to go to residence only for my first year and then move home for my other 3 years. So second year, I spent half of it at home and I commuted in. Ironically, my mother works in the city, so it was very easy to commute in with her. But being a student athlete, I had practices in the evenings and it was very hard, especially the badminton season goes on until February, and driving in the winter in the dark is not a lot of fun. But if we had a bus route, I'm sure it would have been different near my house. But I will say, if you have any way to live in residence your first year, it is a great experience to step away from high school. It almost like let me separate high school and university in my mind. And it allowed me to meet a lot of new people and just be fully immersed in school. Um, I'm saying this because my brother also, he goes to Dalhousie and he's living at home. So I see the difference between my first year experience and his first year experience. Not that there's anything wrong with either experience. I just know that it's so much more immersive in a way, just because you're there all the time. So if you can find a way, even for first year only, it's a great experience to be on campus. But it's definitely doable to be a day student. And even I had a 50-minute drive in every day. It's very doable. Um, but yeah, just something to consider.
Amazing. I see we have a question here from someone who said, are there opportunities for students to work on campus? And I'll just say, all of the panelists here have at least one campus job, which is they're all student ambassadors and they help with campus tours and campus events. And we're so grateful to them for being student ambassadors. But I know that a lot of the folks on this call have had other campus jobs as well. So if anyone wants to speak to that experience of working on campus, um,
I've done a bunch of jobs on campus. Maybe I'll
yeah.
step in. Yeah, so we're all student ambassadors here, which is, really great kind of casual role. Luckily, a lot of the jobs on campus, they're obviously understanding that you're a student first, so you're able to choose your own hours, choose a level of commitment, hours per week that works for you. Um, I'm also a campus tour guide. I have worked in our advancement office before doing some office work. And then even now, I kind of am hired by some societies to do like photography at events, even. There's lots of different ways, either by the school or kind of to find work as a student that works with your schedule. I think around 1 in 3 King student has some sort of position on campus before they graduate. Not that you have to, um, but it is just a good option to make a little bit of income and also integrate yourself and meet other great students.
Any other folks on the line have had other campus jobs? There are some businesses on campus as well. Chow, go ahead.
Um, King's has a variety of student-run co-ops. So in the wardroom, which I mentioned earlier, we have a like student co-op cafe called the Galley, and they also hire students. There is also the bookstore, which also hires students. And especially in first year, there are some first year, especially if you're taking FIP, there are some job opportunities for that specifically. One position is a honorarium, so not a full job, but is the FIP note taker, which is what I'm currently doing. So you just take notes for the program, and then you are given a honorarium at the start of the year. There is also a like tech support job for FIP to help make sure the lectures are run smoothly.
Great. Thank you. Any other thoughts on campus jobs before I move on to the next question? Amber, you're up.
Yeah, there's also a lot of jobs within the sports section, all of athletics. There's some broadcasting stuff that happens through the journalism program for a lot of our t like sports that happen on campus. There's a lot of like office type jobs for the front desk, and a lot of photography is needed for sports. It's really good for any type of sports journalism. And then also being junior Dawn on residence just because I'm a current student. A regular Dawn is a graduate. I get housing on campus. I get food on campus. It's reserved for third or fourth year students, but it's a kind of a great way to give back to the community setting that kind of felt very supportive in first year. Um, but yeah, it's a great way to still be able to stay connected to campus, but in a different way as you go through your degree.
Thank you. We also have a question here about if you can use the gym and fitness facilities, even if you're not on one of the varsity sports teams. Who would love to speak to this? I guess this one.
I can. Michaela might also have some other things to say. Yeah, so I've been on the rugby team since I arrived. I was on the badminton team the past 2 years. And yeah, you can use the facilities. Doesn't matter if you're an athlete or not. Even people in the community will come in and use our facilities. There's a lot of rentals that happen. But yeah, we have a cardio room and we have a weight room upstairs. Then we have the general courts on the main floor, and then in the basement we have a dance studio. And yeah, all of those places get rented out. A lot of teams have their training sessions in there outside of their actual practices. And then we also have a really unique partnership with Dalhousie where we can use the Dalplex at all times. We are treated exactly like any Dal student would be walking into the Dalplex. The one difference is if you are a King's athlete, you cannot use the Dal Tigers specific places, but there's very few of those. They have a pool, they have a big, what is it? The dome area that I don't know the actual name of it, but it's just like the courts.
Track and yeah.
Yeah,
And they
there's
have
a
a rock
little,
climbing wall.
and they have rock climbing walls. They just did a brand new cardio and weight facility, so it's just like a massive room with every piece of equipment you could ever need. They have yoga sessions that are free for students, some fitness classes that are free for students. You can just sign up online. They also have court time that you can sign up for. So yeah, there's lots of facilities that you can use as a King student.
Nice. Yeah. Great. Awesome. Uh, our next question is about, I don't know if anyone in this group's gotten like super involved in the theater society, but there's a question here about can anyone speak to how competitive it is to take part in King's Theatrical Society shows? Is it hard to get roles in productions? This is definitely something that was like a big part of my life when I was a student, but so I can, but has anyone on this panel been in a KTS show? Maybe not, huh? I know
I
you.
haven't, but a close friend of mine it is or was and has like had written a play that was performed by the KTS before. So I guess I can say yeah, they have open auditions for their fall and spring seasons. Anyone's able to get involved. A great way to get involved in first year is the Classics in the Quad, like Yoli mentioned. There is also the King's Theatrical Society scholarship. So if you've done, I applied for that actually, did theater all through high school and stuff. But yeah, it's pretty open. It's even pretty open if you are interested in writing or directing. You can get involved as an actor through the auditions, or you could be behind the scenes doing set, lighting, etc. But from my understanding, they definitely are very welcoming of anyone who wants to be involved.
Yeah, I'd agree with everything you just said. Traditionally, classics in the quad will cast primarily first year students or entirely first year students, so that's a great way to get involved. Open auditions certainly is a really like helpful thing, and I'll really echo what you said, Petra. But like you can get involved as a writer, as a director, is doing tech, like building sets. Um, for me, I done a lot of acting in high school, but I learned so much about theater just getting involved in theater society because it was the first time I got to direct and produce and stage manage, and really my first time ever using power tools, building sets for shows. And for 4 years of my life, I was a person that carried around a crescent wrench in my backpack all the time, just in case I needed to go help hang lights, which was pretty awesome. And I learned so much from my friends in the KTS. I'll also just highlight, Kings and Dal students can join each other's clubs and groups. So the KTS, the King's Theatrical Society, often does, straight plays, more like traditional theater, and often a lot of student written, like new writing, new theater. Whereas the Dal Theatrical Society, or DTS, which is also awesome, usually does like one big musical per semester. So depending on the type of theater you like to get involved in, you could audition for both. You could get out and see lots of different things. Noam, go ahead or correct the record if I got that wrong.
No, no, no. I just want to add one small note that's related. I know the Doubt Theater Society, so they do their like big musical production. If you play a musical instrument, you can also audition to play in the like orchestra for that, or like the pit band for that production. I've been doing a minor in music. I know like half the people who are doing the or in the band this year. The person who's directing is like studies with me in the same studio, or like who's conducting. So yeah, that's also kind of an option if you're like interested on more of the music side. You don't have to be a music student. Those are like that's open to anyone who's interested. Yeah.
Yeah. So 1.5 million ways to get involved basically in theater across both campuses. Um, okay. Now I see one more question just popped in. And before we answer it, I'm going to just note it is 4:58 by my watch, which means we're almost at an hour. I will say I'll stick around a little after an hour to keep answering questions if there are questions. Some of our student panelists might have to run, which is okay. This is a busy weekend, but for those who are able to stay online, maybe they will as well. So if you still have questions that you're waiting to ask, this is your time to ask it. That's your gentle prompt. And there's a person here who said, how do you know if you got into residence? Will you get an email? Yes, if you have applied to residence, as long as you applied before April 1st of this year, there's a guaranteed room for you. But the room assignments don't go out until a little later in the year. And if you're unsure about what's going on with your residence application, if you like started a residence application and you're not sure if it's been submitted, or you want to check in on the status of your residence application, reach out to our residence team by emailing residence@ukings.ca. My amazing colleague Jacob Burke is the housing coordinator, and he will answer your email and get you the answers you need. Okay, so we have a FIP specific question here, which is that I understand that assessments in FIP are primarily essay based. Are these timed essays? Great question. Yeah, Chow, go ahead.
So if you mean by timed essays, like you sit down in the class, you have an essay in the class period, then no. The FIP essays are assigned on a Friday, and then you're due not that weekend, but the following weekend. And they're ones you can take home, work on over the week. If you want, you can book meetings with the writing coach. You can have time to meet with your tutorial leaders, so the teachers and profs. There you have there's a rush, but it's not like 40-minute essays.
That's right. They do have a structured like word count. And so, there are some limitations on how they would be written, but you're not in a time crunch to write it. I mean, unless you procrastinate, in which case you will be in a time crunch to write it. Yeah. Michaela, do you have anything to add about like what the essay is like or what to expect from it?
Basically exactly what Chow said. You have a lot of time to write these essays, so it's just about again using your time wisely, scheduling it out, especially because even though you get your essay prompts, your readings don't stop, right? So it's all about kind of balancing and working with your schedules. Also, we do have, I'm pretty sure we have two like research papers. So you'll have a lot of your essays are to do with like the books and all the stuff that you're reading, but then you'll also have the ability to join like resources and other things for those essays as well too in two different forms.
There's a question here about the debate club, and I'm not sure if anyone on our panel has had experience with the debate club or like has a friend who has had experience with it. Yeah.
I do have a friend who has. Anyone is able to join the debate club. I know that they do some like competitions like that might involve traveling and things like that. So obviously that might be a bit more selective and individual, but they have meetings once or twice a week and anyone is able to show up.
I mean, in general, because this question asked, is the debate club easy to join? I would say it's pretty much the case that any club is easy to join. How involved you want to be and how much time you want to give to a club or society can vary. And some clubs do lots of events and activities, and others maybe do one thing each semester. But it's never hard to join a club. You can get involved in anything. And one pro tip I would have for anyone who's coming in. To university is, if you participate in the events during orientation week, we call it O week for short, that can be a great way to get your feet under you and start meeting some people. If you don't feel like you're going to go to every event during orientation week and you're picking and choosing about which ones you want to prioritize, one event that I would recommend you prioritize is the Societies and Services Fair, which is like a big fair where as long as the weather's sunny, we do it out in the quad. And we bring representatives from all sorts of student clubs and groups, and you can get to know people and just kind of start dreaming up what different kinds of clubs and organizations you want to get involved in. Amber.
I also just want to say that Dalhousie has the same thing, and all societies are shared. So, like, I'm part of the Dal Ski Snowboard Society at Dal, and yeah, they have a massive fair that's usually like the third week of September. So, go to the Kings one and go to the Dal one. There's gonna be something for you.
That is great advice. I think this last question is going to be maybe the last one we take, and then we'll close things down. So there's a person who asked if journalism can be combined with a second major. Uh, Yep, it can. You can do journalism as a combined honors degree. You can do journalism. You can do a minor in journalism studies with another thing being your main focus. So you have a couple options there. Michaela, you're a journalism student on the panel. And you're still in first year, so you haven't like maybe thought this all through yet, but have you been thinking at all about like if you might want to take other classes alongside journalism as a minor or a combined honors?
Yeah, for sure. I've definitely been thinking about it. Maybe like a little bit of a law minor. Like the thing about it is, whatever you want to do, you have support. So you have academic advising. You even have peer support. I did go to a meeting like that, and they just kind of tell you how that'd be organized with your degree. There's so many different things that you can contribute and like add to your degree, like what Yolana said. So yeah, just don't be afraid to even combine it with other things and try other new things as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. So I'm going to, before we kind of wrap things up today, I'm just typing into the chat admissions@ukings.ca. That's the general email address for our admissions team. We're the people that can answer your questions about the specific stage of the process you're in, any kind of detailed or, specific to you questions that you want to dig in on. Reach out. It's a great team. We're very excited to answer your questions. And instead of me taking over, giving the last word, I just want to thank our panelists, and I'm going to turn things over to Bill, perhaps if you want to wave us out with a goodbye.
No, I just want to thank all the students, panelists, such rich answers to such great questions. That's amazing. And I just wanted to say goodbye to everybody and thank you for joining us and wish you all the best in the future.
Thank you so much for being here, everyone. You take care.